You walk into a crowded elevator. Someone new steps in. Your eyes drop to the floor. Your shoulders tighten, just slightly. You don't decide to do this. It happens before you even notice. You've done this 1,000 times. In line at the store, on a train platform, passing someone on a dark street. A flicker of caution, gone as fast as it arrived. You probably think it's nothing. A habit, a quirk of city life. But the real answer is far stranger. That flicker isn't a habit. It's a 5 million-year-old alarm system, still wired into your skull, still checking every new face against a question your ancestors couldn't afford to get wrong, friend or threat. Your brain was never built for a world of strangers. For almost all of human history, you lived among the same 20, maybe 50 faces for your entire life. You knew their walk, their smell, the sound of their footsteps before you saw them. A new face wasn't a coincidence. It was an event. It could mean trade. It could mean marriage. Or it could mean your band's territory, your food, your children were suddenly at risk. So your brain built a shortcut. Fast, automatic, running underneath your conscious thought in a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. Researchers at University College London use brain imaging to track how people respond to unfamiliar faces in the first few hundred milliseconds after seeing them. The amygdala lit up faster and more strongly for unfamiliar faces than for familiar ones. Not because the viewers thought the strangers were dangerous. The response happened before thought was even possible. It was a reflex, not a judgment. Here's the part that should unsettle you. This reflex doesn't care whether the stranger is actually a threat. It only cares whether the face is new. Your ancestors who paused, even for a second, at the sight of an unfamiliar person survived slightly more often than the ones who didn't. Over hundreds of thousands of years, that half-second pause became permanent. It became you. Think about what that means. The tightness in your chest when a stranger sits too close. The instinct to check where the exits are in a room full of people you don't know. None of that is really about the modern world. It's an ancient prediction engine, running on ancient data, applied to a species that now lives among millions of people it will never personally know. And it doesn't stop at the amygdala. Your brain also uses a hormone called oxytocin to help you bond and trust. You've probably heard it called the love hormone, but that name is incomplete and a little misleading. Researchers at Radboud University in the Netherlands ran a series of trust experiments using oxytocin. When participants received a dose of the hormone, their trust and generosity toward members of their own group increased, exactly as expected. But something else happened too. Toward people identified as outsiders, oxytocin didn't increase trust at all. In some conditions, it made participants more defensive, more cautious, more likely to protect their own group's interests against the unfamiliar one. Your brain's chemical for bonding is also, quietly, a chemical for drawing a line. Us on one side, them on the other. Not because you're cruel, because for most of your species' existence, the group was survival, and the border of the group was where danger began. Now here's the twist that changes everything. You don't live in a group of 50 anymore. You live in a species of 8 billion. Every single day, your ancient alarm system is asked to process more new faces before breakfast than your ancestors saw in an entire year. The barista, the rideshare driver, dozens of strangers on a single commute. Your amygdala doesn't know the difference between a modern city and a rival band from 50,000 years ago. It just keeps ringing the same bell over and over all day long for people who will never harm you at all. This is why so much of modern life feels quietly exhausting, even when nothing bad happens. You're not weak. You're not antisocial. You're running Paleolithic software on a planet it was never designed for. But your brain has a second trick, one just as old as the alarm. And this one is the reason cities work at all. Familiarity turns strangers into non-strangers, faster than you'd think. Researchers studying urban social behavior have found that repeated, brief, low-stakes contact with the same unfamiliar face, seeing the same barista, the same neighbor, the same person on your regular train, measurably lowers the threat response over time, even without a single real conversation. Your brain doesn't need friendship. It just needs repetition. Enough exposures, and the alarm quiets down on its own. This is also why isolation makes suspicion worse, not better. The less contact you have with different kinds of people, the more your amygdala treats every unfamiliar face as fully, permanently unknown. Communities that stay closed off don't become safer over time. They become more anxious, more defensive, more primed to see danger and difference. Your ancestors' survival trick, built for a world of 50 faces, can quietly work against you in a world built on trusting strangers by necessity, on planes, in hospitals, in classrooms, in cities that only function because millions of people who will never meet cooperate anyway. There's an old thread connecting all of this, and it isn't really about fear at all. It's about information. Your amygdala isn't asking, is this person bad? It's asking, do I have enough data about this person yet? A stranger is, biologically speaking, simply a gap in your knowledge. And gaps, to a brain built by evolution, feel dangerous by default, whether or not anything dangerous is actually there. So the next time you feel that flicker, the tightened shoulders, the dropped eyes, the tiny pause before you speak to someone new, you can recognize it for what it actually is. Not a warning about that person. A message from deep inside your own history, still running the oldest program your species ever wrote. Friend or threat. Your brain still doesn't know the difference between a rival band on the horizon and a stranger in an elevator. It just knows a new face arrived and it wants an answer. You walk into a crowded elevator. Someone new steps in, and somewhere behind your eyes, an alarm 5 million years old quietly, harmlessly, rings.